Well, this review took much longer than expected. One of the goals that I set out for this channel was to review entire series of games. So far, we're able to review all the Devil May Cry games, including the short-lived reboot and all the Gears of War games. But I also wanted to tackle the Yakuza games as well. So far, we have reviews for Yakuza 0 to 4, and now we're finally taking a look at Yakuza 5. But man, did it take longer to expect it to get here. Yakuza games can be tiring, especially if you play them back to back. Some may call this franchise fatigue, and I definitely hit that wall around Yakuza 4. Not to say these games are bad or anything, no, they're far from it. But in the case of 3 to 5, there wasn't really much keeping me super engaged like I was with Yakuza 0 to Kiwami 2. Maybe because those games were running on a newer engine and these games were essentially PS3 remasters, but whatever. Here we are with Yakuza 5. This won't be a long review, but I do have some thoughts on what I played. Now, Yakuza 5 is the most diverse game in the series so far. You have multiple cities you can explore, 5 different characters with their own unique gameplay styles and stories, mini games and subquests, which are Yakuza standard now, and much more. This also means this is the longest Yakuza game by far. With so much packed in, you'll be spending quite a bit of time in each of the chapters of the game. Now, story-wise, I won't do a deep dive because honestly, I can't say that I enjoyed the story as much as I thought I would. When I told people I was working on a Yakuza 5 review, some people swore that this story was going to blow me away, and to be honest, it really didn't. I enjoyed it more than Yakuza 4 for sure, but it didn't hold a candle to 0, Kiwami 1, and 2, and even Yakuza 3 for me personally. Were there some good and endearing moments? Of course, but the pacing, it was questionable. Each story is somewhat self-contained. Kiryu is still battling separating himself from his past life. Sajima is back in prison and somehow finds herself out in society again. Hakura, who actually is my favorite story arc behind Kiryu, follows her struggle as a pop star and public figure. Akiyama is back and we have a new character, Shinada, former baseball star who is looking to reclaim his former life after the accident got him kicked from the league and of course his dreams. All these stories kind of come together at the end to tell an overarching story, but again, the questionable pacing. I wasn't too crazy about the story itself, but I did enjoy the final chapters. Now, what the game lacks in story, it makes up in gameplay. So far, Yakuza 5 is the most diverse when it comes to gameplay. Some good and some not so much, but I can say I really enjoyed what I played here and that aspect of Yakuza 5 and all the styles that each character introduces. Kiryu plays like he always has. The combat feels very similar to Yakuza 0, which is a plus for me. Kiryu is also a cab driver in this game, so there are some sub-stories and mini-games that tie into that. I love the highway races with the Devil Killers especially. Kiryu also has access to Club Sega and other side ventures as well, so yeah. Sajima is the tank of the group and hits like a truck. During his campaign, you'll be fighting, of course, but also has snowmobile riding sections and a hunting minigame, which I wasn't too crazy about. I only did the sections that were required to progress in the story. It was just slow and uninteresting to me. Now, Hakura, believe it or not, this was my favorite portion of the game. I love seeing her character get more story time, and we really got to learn more about this girl we essentially adopted in Yakuza 1. It's great to see. Plus, I love rhythm games like Hatsune Miku, so there was no surprise that I will find enjoyment in the gameplay. It's a nice break from the constant random combat encounters. Akiyama and Shinada were cool sections as well. I will say, Akiyama got one hell of a glow up combat-wise. He was probably my favorite to play as during my time in this game. Huge improvement over his Yakuza 4 self. The enemies are still pretty block heavy across the board, but the combat here is the best in the remastered trilogy, so that's a plus. So let's get down to it. What did I like about Yakuza 5? Well, first off, the different cities. They were really a nice taste of visual variety. The music in Yakuza games are always a treat, and the combat is the best it felt in the remastered trilogy. I also love Hakura's development as a character and also fleshing out other characters we were introduced to previously. Arcade games at Club Sega is always a plus for me, and I just love exploring these cities. It's great. I did not care for the pacing of the story and how long the game was. I know Yakuza games are typically very close to RPG lengths, but this one really dragged for me with tons of long dialogue and cutscenes. I felt the developers were really trying to make this game a full Yakuza experience, and in some ways, they succeeded, but it was lackluster in other ways. Overall, Yakuza 5 has some really great things going for it, but honestly, I don't think I will revisit this entry at all. I loved all the side missions and things to do, but the game itself is a bit long and it just didn't hit me like Yakuza 0, 1, 2, and even 3. Let me know down in the comments what you think of Yakuza 5 and where you would rank it overall. Listen, if this is your first time rocking with me, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe to your boy, hit the bell notification, all that fun stuff, and of course, I thank you all for watching and I'll see you next time.